At exactly 0317 hours, on March 18, 2026, the USS San Diego's hull-mounted sonar picked up an anomaly that sent every operator in the Combat Information Center rigid with alarm. It wasn't the signature of a submarine. It was worse. A dense, irregular field of acoustic reflectors blooming across the narrow blue throat of the Strait of Hormuz, the most critical 21-mile choke point on the planet. IRGC naval engineers, operating under a moonless night and the electromagnetic noise of a dozen burning tankers, had begun seeding the strait with contact and influence mines. Within 90 seconds, the entire U.S. Fifth Fleet was elevated to ThreatCon Delta. This was not improvised sabotage. This was the opening move of a kill chain 3 weeks in the making. To understand why this was the most dangerous 72 hours since the Cuban Missile Crisis, you have to rewind to day zero. On February 28, 2026, Israel and the United States launched massive airstrikes across Iran. An early Israeli missile killed Supreme Leader Khamenei, along with most of the regime's senior military command. Operation Epic Fury hit 26 of Iran's 31 provinces simultaneously, B-2 Spirit stealth bombers delivering bunker-busting GBU-57s against hardened underground facilities, while EA-18G Growlers flooded Iranian air defenses with barrage jamming. 3 weeks later, the US and Israel had conducted over 1,400 strike events against 835 Iranian retaliations. Iran's conventional military was catastrophically degraded, but it hadn't collapsed. Tehran's Mosaic Doctrine, a decentralized command structure specifically designed to survive leadership decapitation, was still generating lethal capability from degraded inputs. And now, they were playing their most dangerous card. 12 Bogomar-class speedboats, painted in commercial gray with no radar signatures, were operating in 3-boat cells across the strait's southern transit lane. Each boat carried 4 Sadaf-class bottom mines, 200-kilogram influence-detonated weapons that sit motionless on the seabed until a vessel's combined magnetic, acoustic, and pressure signature triggers detonation. One correctly positioned Sadaf beneath a supertanker is enough to rupture the keel and detonate the cargo. By 0341, a P-8A, Poseidon circling at 22,000 feet, had identified the field and transmitted a flash precedence message to NavCent headquarters in Bahrain. Minefield confirm. Recommend immediate minesweeping posture. The minesweeping response was immediate, but the IRGC had anticipated it. At 0358, 2 fast attack missile boats broke the radar horizon at 31 knots, bearing directly toward USS Devastator, a wooden-hulled minesweeper with no organic defensive weapons capable of stopping a C-802 anti-ship missile. The geometry was calculated with lethal precision: force the minesweepers to retreat, keep the minefield intact, strangle global oil supply, leverage economic pressure into a ceasefire that preserved the regime. What they did not account for was the USS Michael Murphy, running dark 6 miles north, all active emitters off, specifically positioned as an unseen escort. At 0400, Murphy's Aegis fire control system executed an automated firing solution using only the passive electromagnetic emissions of the approaching Iranian boats to aim. 2 RIM-162 missiles, 2 targets, both gone within 90 seconds. The minesweeping operation continued, but 60 miles north, a second threat was already materializing. A coordinated swarm of 40-plus Shahed 238 jet-propelled cruise missile drones, upgraded variants equipped with EW-resilient data links engineered to defeat the GPS spoofing that had been neutralizing earlier Iranian attacks, split into 3 corridors simultaneously. One element tracked toward the UAE's highest-producing offshore oil field. A second bore down on U.S. naval support activity Bahrain. A third turned toward the minesweeping operation in the strait. The battle manager at Al Udeid Air Base had 7 minutes and 40 seconds from detection to first impact. What followed was the most sophisticated layered air defense engagement of the war. F-35Cs on combat air patrol fired MRAMs at maximum kinematic range. USS Leida Gulf ripple-fired 24 SM-6 missiles in 90 seconds. Patriot batteries engaged the oil field-bound element. In 4 minutes and 17 seconds, 36 of 41 drones were destroyed. The 5 that penetrated the outer belt ran into Phalanx close-in weapon systems. 1 impacted the outer fence of NSA Bahrain, injuring 13 service members. The oil field survived. The minesweepers kept working. By 0630, USS Devastator had completed reconnaissance of the minefield's eastern edge. The picture was worse than initial assessments. The field was already extending beyond the strait into the approaches of the UAE's primary eastern container port. The IRGC wasn't just closing the strait, they were closing the entire eastern Gulf. Brent crude was trading above $100 per barrel. Asian markets opened to circuit breakers. Tokyo halted energy futures trading for the second time in a week. The response came from 40,000 feet from the west before dawn on March 20th. Two B-21 Raider stealth bombers, launching from Diego Garcia 14 hours earlier, invisible to every radar Iran's degraded air defense network could still field. Each carried 8 GBU-72 advanced 5,000-pound bombs. Their targets: the mine-laying support facilities on Larak Island and the fast boat dispersal shelters carved into the cliffs of Abu Musa, the logistics backbone keeping the minefield seeding operation alive. At 0419, 16 bombs impacted in a 34-second time-on-target sequence. The seismic event registered 3.1 on the USGS network. The mine storage facility ceased to exist as a functional structure. Navcent announced the first confirmed cleared transit lane at 1740 local time on March 21st. But the war was not over. The IRGC's Mosaic Doctrine was still generating lethal capability. The strait remained selectively open, Iran allowing passage only for vessels from nations it deemed friendly, exercising politically calibrated control over the world's most important 21 miles of water, even as its conventional military burned. Trump announced that the US and Iran had begun talks toward a complete and total resolution of hostilities, ordering a 5-day pause on strikes against Iranian energy infrastructure. Iran publicly denied the talks. Privately, a senior Iranian foreign ministry official confirmed to CBS News that proposals had been received through mediators and were under review. The 5-day clock is now running. By any conventional metric, Iran has lost this war. Over 9,000 military targets destroyed, 140-plus naval vessels sunk, Air Force grounded, ballistic missile inventory reduced by an estimated 60 to 70%, Supreme Leader dead. And yet, the strait is still mined. The global energy market is still in shock. 20,000 seafarers are stranded in the Persian Gulf, and a regime with nothing left to lose is still fighting, because regimes that are losing conventional wars don't behave rationally. They behave desperately. The mine is the weapon of the desperate. It requires no pilot, no guidance system, no radar uplink. You drop it in the water and it waits, patient, indiscriminate, for the next hull that passes overhead. The US Navy has cleared a lane, but a lane is not a strait, and a strait is not yet a free sea. The 2,200 Marines aboard USS America are anchored 30 miles from the strait's entrance. The minefield is partially active. The diplomatic window is 5 days. The adversary has nothing left to lose. Do you wait for the diplomats, or do you take the island? The answer to that question will determine whether the next chapter of this war is written in ink or in fire.